Recording in progress.
Hello and welcome to Mostly Minnesota Music Podcast Edition. I'm Ann Tracy and I'm here with my co-host,
Heather Baker.
Yes, and we are with Jonathan Fuller, aka Jonny Darko.
Hello. Thanks for
Hi,
having me back.
welcome. Yeah, we're excited to talk to you because last time we saw you, we were talking about Jaguar.
Yes.
Yes, and today we're talking about your solo work, and because you released a full album. You've been releasing singles for quite some time, but you've a full-fledged 13-song album this last summer, Symbolica.
Yeah. I'm really excited about it. It took a long time. It's been a few years in the works, but it's finally all here, and there's a visual album to go with it. So, yeah, I'm excited.
I'm just gonna jump in because I think everybody should do a visual album. I mean, I kind of listened to it. I listened to some of it without the visual. I listened to some of it with, as you kind of go through your day and try to fit stuff in. It's such an additive. What made you decide to do that? Because that had to be twice the work at least.
Yeah, I was gonna say I almost had like the opposite reaction after finishing it. Like, I liked doing it, but I was like, oh, I should never do that again. That took so long. I just started like with the idea to do a few videos for a couple of the songs, and then I was sort of experimenting around with Premiere and creating different collage visuals that me and my wife kind of did together over quarantine. So I had just a lot of material, and I ended up with like 5 videos. So I was like, well, I'm kind of halfway there. And I still had a few ideas. So I was like, well, I'll just do the whole thing. And it ended up taking another 6 months or whatever to finish it. Yeah, I don't know. I really like, I was really inspired by like Eric Timothy Carlson's videos that he did for 22 a Million for Bon Iver and stuff. It's very like maximalist and like almost lyric videos. So that was kind of my original intention. And then I ended up collaborating with some other people to do the more formal, like live action stuff.
It does. It feels like and I like what you've done with the lyric videos. In fact, I was at the Walker yesterday, and they've got a low visibility exhibit, and that reminded me very much of one of the videos there. I mean, they're very artistic. They're like the Markley clock. They just remind me a lot of the art. And then there are more that feel more storytelling videos.
Yeah, it's definitely the lyrics. Like the lyric videos is kind of the main theme throughout, and a big part of it for me was the lyrics on this album were so I don't know, thought through, I guess, so like important to me, to the music, which sometimes it's not quite as important for me. Sometimes I try to make stuff that's more just fun and stuff, but I felt like the videos were a good way to kind of give that more attention and allow people to really know exactly what I was saying in the songs.
The album feels very personal in a way that I think a lot of the work with Jaguar, I think it's very observational about personal things, but this feels more personal from the inside.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a big difference between those two channels of music for me, I would say. I also have like a more almost psychedelic rock band called Feed Us. And so between those 3 avenues, most of the stuff that I write can end up kind of going in one of those directions. So I'm in a good place in that way, where there's always, somewhere I can take my ideas.
I was wondering if that was why Darko was the name that you gave yourself to, Jonny Darko, because it's heavier and darker. Okay, it makes sense.
It definitely is. I mean, it's obviously, mostly just from Donnie Darko, the movie,
yeah.
but which is a movie that I like. But yeah, it is definitely like my darkest project, and it's definitely the most confessional or personal, I guess. It's very like introspective for me, writing this kind of music, because most of it is sort of internal conversations and dialogues. It's not as much dealing with relationships and things of that nature. It's very like self-reflective, at least this project and the one before it.
Is that easy to put out in the world or hard? I mean, I feel like it's perfect because we're all like, oh my God, you get me during this time.
Well,
And your wife is probably like, yep, this is where we're at, or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I know where your head's at. Or more exposed, I guess, making music, that's probably a normal space to be in, but to be that exposed is very connected, but it could be very...
Yeah, it's vulnerable in a way. And I think I'm pretty good with that kind of stuff. I don't get super nervous about, I don't know, talking about mental health struggles or about, you know, things that I'm dealing with. But also just as I'm working on music and time goes on, you sort of almost lose that impact until you're seeing other people react to it. Like I remember at the premiere I did of the film at Trilon Cinema downtown, like I invited all these people and you know 80 something people showed up and we're in this theater and it was like we're all just gonna watch and listen to the whole album, and like sitting there showing it to people for the first time, I remember just kind of being like, oh, I forgot that's like kind of intense. You know, because for me I'm just working on it, like, oh, the vocal mix is too quiet for months and months. So yeah, it's an interesting experience though, and it's definitely unique as opposed to, like you were saying, other projects that are more observational or other music that I've done that's more, I don't know, putting up a bit of a facade or you know, tapping into the more lighthearted aspects of life. So
And what an interesting experience to watch people watch the video, because that's got to be different than watching people as you play live. Yeah,
for sure. And I always close my eyes when I'm playing live. I can't look at people. So yeah, so it is interesting, and you never really know, I guess, how people are gonna react or if they're gonna like it. I mean, there's always that risk that people will hate it or think about me, I guess, a certain way. Although I feel like, I don't know, I guess my mentality about it is more people kind of understand like metaphor in music, and they kind of understand like just because I'm saying like I like the devil or something doesn't mean I actually am like, you know, necessarily a Satanist, for instance. Like I think people kind of get that too. So you know,
I liked the video, even though it was super short, the lyric one for Hell. And just you in general in your videos, like, I'm like, you have such a kind face, but then you can be so intense too, and it's just the structure of your face where I'm just like, I almost had to look away from it because I'm like, God, it looks like he's just going right, seeing right through me here.
Well, good. That's good. Yeah, I definitely can. I bet my wife would tell you when I'm in a bad mood, I probably get that brooding look. Maybe not quite that scary, but yeah, I am a generally pretty happy, nice guy. So it was a bit out of my comfort zone, you know, doing stuff like that and being on camera. Like I was saying, when I play live, I like to just stand there and close my eyes, and you know, I'm not a big showy person generally. So some of the video filming, you know, there were little parts I guess I had to sort of act for, like running around the piano trying to be creepy, and that's not like second nature to me. So it pushed me out of my comfort zone a little bit, but I think that was good.
Were those the videos that you had sort of a vision for, or was this outside help when you were speaking before about the videos?
Yeah, so I teamed up with the present company guys, Eddie and Christian. They're obviously big into, video
Yeah.
stuff. And then my brother-in-law is also a really talented videographer, and he helped me edit a lot of the videos. And yeah, the piano video, that was sort of spur of the moment. We were just like, what if we did this? And then we went on Facebook Marketplace and found an old piano someone was getting rid of for free. Went and picked it up and lit it on fire in our friend's yard, basically. It's like a bigger piece of property, but that was pretty spur of the moment. The Symbolica video was the one that took the most planning on our part. Me and then my brother-in-law Kennedy wrote that whole thing and storyboarded it out, and rented a studio, and then we went out to Buffalo to film stuff in the snow this winter, and that one took a lot of work. And then the Demon Boys video was completely done by Eddie and Christian. So they wrote that whole thing. They just told me what to do, and I just did it, and it turned out great.
I was going to say, you guys have such a good collaboration with each other. I like to see what you guys come up with.
Yeah, we like to trade creative favors. So I help them mix some of their songs, and then they do a video for me in return, etc. And I think it's nice too, because since we're such good friends, and obviously my brother-in-law and I are really close as well, they have heard this music a lot for years, and they understand my vision, and so I'm able to trust them creatively with stuff like that. So yeah, it's really nice to have a group of people that are that talented around.
I like Demon Boys. There was kind of a video game quality to it
Yeah,
that I like, that I liked.
sure.
And then I noticed that the crown from that video was on the Aliens crown video too. I like there were some things that carried over from song to song and from video to video.
Yeah, that was definitely and like the hooded figures was something I really wanted to have as like a repeated image. Yeah, and those are all sort of, for me, those are all sort of symbolic themes that run throughout the album. So like I also wore these little contacts that kind of make my your pupils like disappear.
Yeah, they're
Looks
kind of bluey,
spooky.
crystally. Yeah.
So that and the crown costumes, I guess, were sort of like to represent a darker like side of myself, which is sort of in line thematically with the album. For me, it's like I said, it's sort of an internal dialogue, and so I wanted to have a lot of imagery of feeling haunted or feeling like there's like a spooky side of you, and yeah, I was trying to kind of capture the feeling of like, I guess, coming to terms with your whole self, like the good and the bad, and recognizing the person that you don't want to be and the person that you do want to be, and realizing that that's all a part of who you are as an individual. So a lot of the themes of, being haunted or ghosts and stuff like that lyrically is me talking about, past versions of myself where that, things that I've done that I feel disappointed in, or times where I can look at myself and say, hey, that's not the person I want to be. I'm disappointed in myself. I have all these feelings about that. And then, like seeing those manifestations, trying to come back and haunt you in your present life, like I think that's always kind of a struggle that is hopefully universal. Like I think people related to it, but it's something that I feel a lot. So
I very
Definitely.
much got that sense of that otherworldliness, whether it's a ghost or an alien or something that maybe internal, external, but is very connected.
yeah, and I kind of went spookier metaphorically on this album than other ones. I don't know if I'll do that again, but yeah, a lot of it is religious imagery and big concepts like heaven and hell. And I was raised religious, so to me that's it. It's almost second nature to describe things in that language, and so I think that was a big part of it. Just during the writing process, because a lot of times when I'm writing, I don't really know exactly what I'm writing about. I'm just having a feeling, and I make some music instrumentally that captures that feeling for me, and then just sort of write almost free form, or what is it, like stream of consciousness. And then it's like a week later or something, I can kind of revisit that and be like, okay, I see what I was feeling, and flesh those lyrics out.
I was gonna say, in two of your songs, I really heard the Bon Iver of the "Don't Break Your Legs" and "Don't Break Your Leg" and "Brothers Till Death." I really got the vibe of that, and I was like, "Woo!" I'm a big fan, so I was really drawn to those two songs. And shout out that we just got to see him last week, so then it really got me.
Oh, I wish I'd been there. Yeah, I definitely take that as a compliment. He's my favorite. I mean, if I could just rip him off and just be him, I would just do that. So.
Well, I think you're pretty talented yourself, but it just, even just hearing you speak, you kind of have a lot of similarities on how you deal with things, and just some of the stuff that I've read about him, it makes me, and maybe I'm more drawn to it because of those songs, so I'm seeping my own projection onto you, but I feel like there's a good connection there.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think those songs are probably my most, like, wearing that influence on the sleeve, And I think he studied religion too. I know, like, 22 A Millions is my favorite album of all time. And, so, there's so much imagery that went into that. And a lot of that is sort of religious. And I don't know, that inspired me a lot to make an album like this. So yeah, I definitely take it as a compliment.
Good. You should. It was good. I was going to say, in your song Aliens, I was like, I feel like I don't know how to explain it, so I'm hoping I'm doing it the best way I can, but I was like, it's a perfect song to just have on to just get out of your head a bit, where it's like moving, has a great beat, it's hard enough in places, but then it's soft enough so you can like relax. I don't know, it was like such a cool vibe that I was just like, I don't know. It was so weird what it did. I was like, what the hell just happened here when I listened to it? But can you tell me a little bit about that one? Because I was so intrigued where it just kind of took me.
Yeah, that one used to be, when I first started that song, it was pretty much the same all the way through. And I ended up adding like a lot of dynamic to it. So it is kind of like aggressive drums and synth bass, and then it all kind of cuts out and there's like a more intimate piano. I definitely like doing that kind of stuff, just as far as like instrumentally. And then thematically, it, those sections are definitely just represent a more vulnerable state of the song, you know, and yeah, I don't exactly know totally what to say about it, but yeah, it's sort of about, you know, feeling out of place. And for me too, it's sort of a bit of like I don't know exactly what the word, like like a protest is not like the right word, but it's like, it's me trying to fight against being consumed by like an ideology or like a rigorous belief set, you know, like the line in there's we've become the machine inside the ghost, like this idea of just becoming a mouthpiece for, you know, someone else, or falling into like a really rigid pattern of belief, and losing, you know, part of, I guess, your humanity or your
Free
spirit,
will.
your livelihood. Yeah. And again, this is all just about me, like talking to me, like this whole album. So it's not directed at any person, or oh, I think this about that person, or, you know, it's just, that's something I can see in myself, you know, as a weakness, and something that I want to change, you know.
Well, I don't know if it's weakness so much as it's an internal struggle that we all deal with.
Yeah.
You know,
And that's it, you know, that kind of goes back to, for me, what I was saying about embracing both parts of your full self. You know, I talk a lot throughout the album, I guess, about trying to make friends with, you know, the dark side of yourself and the light side of the force, if you will. You know, because I think that's important. Like, yeah, you can't just embrace and totally fall like into self-doubt and guilt and all these things that, you know, the person that you don't want to be, but you also, you know, you have to be able to see it and recognize it, and you have to still be able to love that person, you know, because that's, otherwise you don't like yourself. And, you know, you kind of have to have that internal relationship. It's almost like a friendship or like a romantic relationship, you know. That's the way I think of it.
you know, the one song that I thought kind of crossed over, because so much of it does feel like the internal struggle, or a struggle of travel, and, you know, just growth, and but very much an internal, because even watching the video, and whether I can hear the lyrics or not hear the lyrics, and, you know, when you listen to music, you get all of the feeling, and it's very evocative.
Mm-hmm.
Daddy's song is one that seems like it's like it crosses over into, you know, now we're on the other side of the mirror, you know what I'm. So I was gonna ask a little bit about that song, because that's the kind of come to Jesus moment, you know, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that one definitely is about my relationship with my dad, and then his relationship with his father, who passed away when I was pretty young. And so a lot of, you know, my lens on that relationship is through my dad, you know, and just him telling me about how that shaped him, and thinking about how my relationship with my dad has shaped me over the years. You know, so that one is, I guess, about someone. But myself too, you know, it's all part of that journey of trying to understand myself better. So,
well, and I think a lot of people do go back to, I mean, where we come from.
Yeah, that's a weirdly, like, always profound relationship. Like, you and your parents both, you know. This song just is about my dad, but obviously my mom has a huge impact on my life as well. So, but yeah, it's like you can't really escape it. Like, even if you never met your dad. Like it's a huge part of who you are, you know.
Well, and there is kind of a destination to know more about your parents, or when you get to a point to know more about your kids, and to see yourself and to see the generations, see the connections.
And that was a big thing for me, you know, going into my 20s, or maybe a little before that. But I guess my like view or my attitudes on my parents changed so much. Like from being a teenager, where you're just like, oh, mom and dad, like this or that, like just a very immature point of view, to, you know, that maturity of like understanding and starting to realize so many things about, you know, how that's affected you and about their lives. And yeah, it's a big part of everybody's life, you know. And I definitely went through that. Like there are parts, you know, on the album too, where I talk about not even specifically any certain thing that I changed my mind on, but just looking back at myself being 13 or 14 years old and just recognizing like, whoa, I was like a totally different person. Like, I don't think that at all, or I don't feel that way at all anymore, you know?
Kind of how we all are. And I'm sitting in a house with kids 17 to 22. So I'm acutely aware of the difference.
Yeah.
And I can remember it myself. I mean, I think everybody, and that is where it's awesome when your personal story is so universal. It's unique, but it's universal.
Yeah. Well, that's my hope. You know, I always hope that it has that effect for people. And most of the feedback that I've gotten back has been positive in that way. So that's a really good feeling. And yeah, and you know, going back to what you were asking about at the beginning, like, is it hard to share things that are more vulnerable or etc. I think for me, in a way, it's like I do kind of not crave that attention, but like I do kind of long for that connection with people, to have them hear what I'm talking about and either understand it or just, you know that it means something for them as well. Because it's a big way for me. The writing process is just a big way that I think I'm able to actually process and understand my own emotions. Like I was, talking about a little bit earlier, the way that I write music is sort of, I go into it like not totally understanding and just having a feeling, and then it helps me like understand,
I was going to say it almost feels like a release for you, but then almost when I listened to it too, it was connective, like, oh, because some things you're just like, I'm such a jerk or whatever, I think this or whatever, the inner struggle. So it was nice to hear that, to feel like, okay, not the only one that thinks this or craves the connectivity of somebody, or just to know that, yeah, you're not alone. And especially after this long stretch of emotional depletion that we've all gone through. Yeah,
that's cool to hear.
I think it would be kind of fun to show your lyric videos again with people, and then after have a discussion or something, just to see where it takes people, because it's crazy to me, like, because I was like, oh, I want, when people don't want to disclose what songs are about or whatever, they're always like, well, I want them to have their own interpretation, but we do that automatically anyways, with our own experiences. So it would just be cool to see where it brings people. Or I am just old as hell and I like shit like that. So
no, that sounds like a good time to me. I like talking about that kind of stuff. I think it's so fascinating, and yeah, like I said, it does give you that sense of community and connection with people. I would definitely be down to do it. And like you were saying, you know, a lot of artists kind of like to leave it out there and then not give, say, an explanation. I think I definitely like am tempted to be that way, I guess, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But for me, yeah, like when I finish a project or a song and I put it out there, I know artists talk about this a lot too, I feel like, where it's almost like, well, now it's not my thing anymore. Like it partially belongs to the person who's taking that art in. And I think that's a really interesting concept. Like you were saying, my take on, a song is in a way just my take on that song. Like, I'm just another person looking at it now that it is what it is, it kind of stands on its own. I think that's just an interesting way to look at it. And I think that can be beneficial too. And it can help me be more comfortable with talking about, and maybe for other artists too, but it's a way to look at it that makes it not so uncomfortable to be vulnerable and share stories like that, because, at the end of the day, people are going to have their experiences with it. I feel lucky to have been the person to make the art that I made, but that was just my experience with it. So yeah, I don't know if that makes sense, but
Does, yes. I was gonna say and just hearing you speak about it too, when you were talking about writing it, lots of times you don't even know what you're writing about, so it can be different, and then you go back and go, oh, it was this, so it's also can be many layers to you too, in a way.
yeah, and I think as time goes on, like I personally have different reactions. Like if I listen back to different songs, they can mean different things to me. And I don't think every musician necessarily has that style of writing or makes that kind of music. There's a lot of stuff that is different, like Kendrick Lamar talking about what happened to him when he was 9, growing up in Compton, like very specific storytelling. That's not, that's not what I'm doing. That's very different. So, and I think, it's that's maybe a little bit less up for interpretation. My stuff is still kind of abstract and, metaphorical.
That's the beauty of an abstract. And storytelling songs can be the great, Jack and Diane, Kendrick Lamar.
I would do it if I could.
Yankee Doodle Dandy. I mean, I think you can accomplish a lot with a lot, but and they can be engaging in a different way. But it's it's great to have a time where you're. This is a thinking man's album. A thinking, feeling man's album. I mean, a person's album. I'm not, but it's you can sit down, and if you take the time and watch it, I just think you can. It's a very engaging activity to watch and to listen to it. It can take you to different places.
Yeah, that's the hope. And something you said earlier about like seeing the lyrics on the screen or in as part of the visuals. I'm like, when I listen to music, I'm not the kind of guy who really is paying attention to like the writing of the lyrics. Like first and foremost, I'm more just to feel the groove and let it move me kind of guy. So, there's different ways of taking in this kind of stuff. And I think that for me just affected how I chose to yeah, make this project. So
It works. It works. It works well. I
that's
really, I
good.
do.
That's good to hear.
I love I love the idea of the visual album. I
Yeah, sorry, Johnny. So do I. I know that was hard work, but it's really a cool asset to your music, I think.
Yeah.
And
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, and you're really talented at it too. So I don't know, I feel like your creativeness gets sparked a little bit more too. It's just an added bonus there.
Well, that's good. I think I'll definitely do it again.
but, but not tomorrow.
Yeah, right now I'm just focusing on doing singles essentially and kind of trying to feel out where I want to go next. I ended this project with like the song that I chose to end this project with for me was hopefully a way where I could kind of close that chapter of, talking about that stuff for the most part, at least in that way. Like I want to try to explore new territory. So
yeah, because you've had a couple things come out. I'm just gonna ask you kind of for the 40-foot or the 40,000 foot view of, you've had a couple singles come out, and I'm just gonna ask a loaded question if you've got any shows coming up.
I do. Yes. I'm playing at 7th Street. I'm co-headlining with Bobby Rethwish, and Cuckoo Ka is going to be opening for us. They're both great. We all make kind of laptop music-esque, so I think it's going to be a big like visual show. Actually, I'm working on visuals for the show. I'm going to do some different versions of different parts of the album, and then gonna have some lights, and I'm creating new visuals to other songs that I are not on the project as well. So, and that's October 26th at 7 p.m.
At 7th Street.
So, yes.
Awesome.
I'm very excited about that.
Awesome. I'm gonna write that one down. I think that'll be a fun show.
Yeah, me too.
I love that kind of experience.
That's like my dream venue, is to play at 7th Street. I don't exactly know why. I've just always thought it'd be so cool, just so badass if I could ever play at 7th Street. So it's kind of a dream come true for me.
It is inherently badass, but it's also a great location for the music that you play.
Yeah, I think so too. They have a great sound system, and it's nice and dark in there.
Yeah.
So my stuff will light up. It'll be fun.
Yeah. I love the Turf Club, but I think you're better for 7th Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. That'll be
good.
All right. So we're gonna put that on our calendar, Heather.
Yeah. Wait, but he has something on Friday. A birth.
Oh, you've got something coming out. A single coming out.
Yes.
I do. It's called Caravan. It is a very lighthearted song about my car. I have a Dodge Caravan. It's really old. It's really rusty. So it's just kind of like a fun song about driving around with my friends. And I don't know. I shout out a lot of my squad.
Nice.
In it.
Nice.
So it's sort of a song I wrote just for my friend group.
That's fun. All right, so that's coming out September 3rd. Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. I will include this in the notes, but where can people find you? Where can people find Jonny Darko? But you can give us everything.
Instagram is _I'm_Jonny Darko, and then so that's a good place. And then my link tree is in my Instagram bio, where I have YouTube, where you can watch the whole visual album, Spotify, you can listen to it, Apple Music. Yeah, YouTube and Instagram are my two and Spotify, I guess, just for listening to it.
Well, and I'd give a plug for the YouTube because it really the playlist for the album is fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, delighted to listen to the album and look forward to the show. And thank you, Jonathan. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your awesome music.
So nice to talk to you again.
You too.